my next investment, let's say,
Yeah,
as this podcast stuff that I'm doing starts to take off a little bit. So
that's
uh,
nice. That's nice for you. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, so thanks for taking the time to have a chat with me.
it's my pleasure.
Yeah, so for me, like I kind of give you like a breakdown of kind of what I want to do with this podcast. I want it to be a very natural conversation that you would basically have with a friend, and you're speaking about things that are going on in life. You're speaking a little bit about your careers, your passions, just making it really unscripted, informal, but just a fun conversation.
That's
We
lovely.
can dive into whatever you would like to dive into. There are things that you want to say, you can say them. But I didn't want it to be like the typical podcast where people say, "Hey, this person does this, and this, and this." It's like
Yeah,
it's cool.
not the sale pitch, basically, just the
Yeah, yeah,
personal side. Yeah, nice, nice, very nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's the approach I want to take on it, and just see how it turns out. So
I think we're all very tired of being sold everything all the time.
yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, me, I think it'd be cool to do something a little bit different, just than everyone else, and go from there. So yeah,
Okie dokie. So I love your
yeah.
mic. Where did you get it from? I'm serious.
I actually got it from Amazon.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I got it from Amazon when I was in US. So I got it from
okay.
Amazon. I paid probably, wow, $40 maybe,
Bloody
40,
hell. It's
$50, which is
brilliant.
nothing. And with Amazon Prime, you get it in a day and a half. So I had it in a day and a half. I was like, yes.
Yes, you look very pro. You look very pro, Miles. Do
Yeah.
you like
So
to be
right
called
now,
Albert or Miles? How do you prefer to be called?
my last name is Myles. So my
Yeah,
first
yeah.
name is Albert. Yeah. Some people call me Toriel. So Toriel is my
What?
middle name. I have friends and family who call me Toriel. Toriel.
Torio.
Yeah. So my
Torio.
my full name is Albert Toriel Myles. So I have friends who call me my middle name, friends who call me Al, friends who call me Albert. I mean, I'm just friends who call
Al,
me Big Al. I'm all over the place. So
yeah, Al is a little bit, it connects me with that little alien thing, little elf Al. So I think Torio is very nice and Albert, okay. Whatever you're more comfortable with.
hey, whatever one that you can pronounce easier is fine
Yeah,
with me. Because when
it's
I
not,
say Toriel, people are like, huh? Huh? How
no,
do you say that?
Torio. And you're more
So
comfortable with Torio with
um,
friends.
I mean, it honestly doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, most of my family calls me Toriel, so
Okay.
that's fine. They'll have friends in California who call me that also. But most of my friends in Europe and people I have contact with in Europe all call me Albert, so
Okay.
or
So
Al. But
you're gonna podcast as Albert?
no, I'm gonna podcast as like probably I'm still working on the name, but it's probably gonna be the like Albert Myles Experience or Myles Experience or just something different. So I'm still working on the name,
I
the
think
exact
Albert
name.
Myles is lovely. It's such an elegant name.
Thank you, thank you.
So just Albert Myles
So
Experience is lovely, and it's a well, it's an elegant name. It's got a lot of character to it. So I think it's a nice idea.
okay.
And
Yeah, I
we
might
also
use
get
that then.
and Miles Davis, because it's an easy name to remember. Well, from my music world, of course. So Albert Miles is great. It's a great, elegant name. Go for Miles. Albert Miles
Yeah.
is lovely. Right,
Okay.
Albert Miles is going to be Albert Miles Experience coming up.
And, and it's simple and it's easy to remember too. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, so tell me how you were doing and how's everything going? You know, dealing with the pandemic and just with work and stuff like that.
Yeah. Spain's been very interesting with the pandemic. It really has
Mhm.
been very indecisive, and it's really brought the political fragility to a head, I think. And if I go into politics, I'd be talking for hours. But Spain is based on, like, if you remember, it's like a central government, and after Franco died, basically, the central government was given more or less control. And to keep everybody happy, they gave individual governance to the different provinces. And then all these provinces now have their own little government structure, their own sort of like parliamentary imitation. So there's really been no centralization of standards here. So it started off quite central. Everyone got a bit upset because central government was taking over. And then it was given out to the local authority, should we say. Then they were getting upset because there's no constant. There's nothing constant here. So it's been quite awkward for a lot of people. And a feeling of being a little bit like led like sheep is what's going on right now with us here. It's a bit very ambiguous. And the historical history is really floating. If I'm going to say, if shit hit the fan, excuse my expression, it's happening now on a historical sense of people's ideals are really, really coming. It's quite extreme, I think, what's happening here. I don't know what's going to happen economically because we'll see next year, I think. I'm very positive because I am a positive person, but I think just generally speaking, it's been a shame. And for me as a European, because I consider myself a European, even though I come from Zimbabwe, is I think Europe could have been more European. We shouldn't have said, stay out of Italy, go into Spain, or it should have been red zones, green zones, orange zones, if we really wanted to be European. So this is something which I think is also a little bit of a systematic failure when we could have really stuck together as a European, should I say, continent and helped in a bigger area than where we could have done. I know people complain about sovereignty, but really in situations like this, we really need to have some kind of central idea of where we can go as people, really, because 1 minute when it's convenient, we're Europeans, and when we're not. This is the bigger picture for how I've lived the pandemic. On a professional, because I work in health, it's really been a lot of work, a lot of psychological support, a lot. And I work, because I've got all my languages, I work with a lot of English people who are suffering the psychological impact of the pandemic rather than the physical side, the isolation, not going out, not being clear in the translations of what's going on, being non-Spanish. So a lot of the English people were watching for example, the English news, and this was 4 or 5 weeks behind what was going on in Spain, because the pandemic has this ebbs and flows of what's going on. So it was very interesting. So for me, it was a lot of work there on the support. There's been no, should I say, help online or help, on a help phone and all this type of thing. Here in Spain, at least, on a collective side, on a governmental support, I think they were talking, I was reading a couple of weeks ago, they were maybe doing a helpline for this, but it's a bit late. It's a bit late.
Yeah.
Very Viva España, sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the issues that you guys help your clients with over at the clinic that you would work for? And tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the clinic also.
In the clinic where I work for, it's very integrative health management. So it's really whatever you need, from a checkup for diet issues to gynecological issues or whatever, you can get it all under one umbrella. I'm the head of the traditional Chinese medicine department, or the natural side of the clinic. So most people come to see me because we like to introduce, or I like to introduce, the idea that the body is not just physical, it's also energetic. And I see traditional Chinese medicine, or the use of needles in acupuncture, as helping electronic circuit in the body. So then it takes a little bit out of their normal idea of just mechanics of a body, because medicine is very mechanistic, very Newtonian, very cause and effect. This is our modern medicine. Thank God we have it. We can replace our arm or have a heart transplant. But this other part to us that really has to start to be worked on is also the energetic side. How does the heart communicate with the brain? How does the brain communicate with your toes? It doesn't happen by some kind of magic wand. Yeah. There is a very clear communication process, which is via the cells, but it's electronic. And this is what I like to explain to the people. So when they see me, I'm like your electronic mechanic when you take your car in, when the engine is fine, but it's just not starting. And that's where I come in. And that's where we try to integrate these types of things in our wellness center in Altea. inshallah.
And I looked at some pictures, and it looks like a resort to me. I mean, it's beautiful. It's really
It's
beautiful.
absolutely beautiful. The setup is beautiful. The staff are wonderful. It's expensive, but that's the market they're going for. And people are really cared for when they go there. I mean, we treat people on a more serious side of with diabetes or health problems, and they leave in 10, 15 days a lot better. Some people
Yes,
just spend a
yes.
few days just to relax. It is a resort. It's beautiful. I think we have to think it's like it is a wellness hotel, really. So,
Mhm.
but you can't go there without the clinic side. You can't just go for the hotel.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something that I discovered in Europe, because I'm originally from the U.S.
Mm.
and if I'm not mistaken, there's not that many of those type of facilities in the U.S. There might be, but not to my knowledge. But while I was in Europe, I started to discover these clinics, and I was just like, wow, these are special. These are very special places that people need to discover, and even if it's just for a couple of days or whatever, just to help them through some of the issues that they're having. And especially for men too, it's a little bit difficult because we want to be the macho guy, and we want to hide everything. And even me,
Absolutely.
I'm like that sometimes. But
Yeah.
you know, I try to push my ego to the side and say, hey, okay, you can hurt also. You can improve in
Absolutely.
certain areas.
But it's funny
And
you say that because a lot of guys who do come tend to accompany their wives or their partners,
mhm,
okay? And oh, I'm fine. But then once they're there, they're actually relax into it and take. In fact, they have a greater and a better time, lose more weight, become a lot more healthier because they're really open to healthcare. And you're right. I did research maybe 5 to 8 years ago on the mortality rate of men between their 40s and 60s, 40s and 50s, late 50s. And it's very similar at the beginning of the century.
mm,
Okay, and it's not because the medical care is not looking after you. It is this attitude that, especially you're working full time, you're the husbands or the partners of people. It's all this macho thing that I'm fine, and we don't take that little bit of extra care to just check before that
mm,
heart is too tired, before my sugar's all over the place, or I put a little bit too much weight on until we're too ill. I always say illness is a very slow process or
mhm.
dis-ease. It's not something that over 2 days, all of a sudden you're going to have a problem with your heart. No, the body gives you a lot of warnings. So
Mhm,
yes,
mhm.
it's great to see more men coming
Yeah,
in. Yeah.
yeah, and it's even more of an issue going on now, not only with the pandemic, but just in general with men that are very successful because, like you said, they do work these heavy hours and they have a lot of pressure on them, especially if they're owners of really big businesses or family businesses. And I guess there was a study that said that 7 out of 10 men, or I wouldn't say men, 7 out of 10 high level business people, and particularly men, are either depressed or they're having mental issues and things of that sort. That's an alarming number, and it's probably going to be even more for the next couple months too.
Yes, yes. Very a lot of executive men that I see are in quite a constant state of alert, a constant level of stress. Okay, this metaphysically or just chemically is going to create problems because that level of adrenaline, which is keeping us alive, is going to affect your heart. It's going to affect the chemical side of you, apart from the physical and the mental. Okay, it's very important that it's not just pushed under a pillow or under the carpet that it's going to go away. It won't. The guys really need help. I also, I mean, I work with an idea. This is my private side, my surgery is that also when guys come with health issues, it's also very related to the health of their business.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
it is the way it's the male world. It is. If the business is going well, we tend to be feeling okay. This is what gives us our mojo, our
Mhm.
satisfaction. And when business is a little bit icky, it tends to reflect in our relationships or also literally on how we're managing our business. So I work with an excellent, what do you call them? A guy, my word's gone out, a consultant, sorry, who actually also helps with the business health. Okay.
Okay.
So with the excuse of saying business health, I can also look at my own health. It's a more androgynous or a more gentleman's way of saying hands up, please, a little bit of support here. Okay. So I think if we put, which I do, I put it behind this umbrella, we can get quite a lot faster to the root of really what's affecting the men in general and women, but it seems to be more men, because it's been a different world. Well, very fast, very quickly.
Yeah. And have you, do you guys know anything, or not know anything, but do you guys incorporate where they're drawing blood and they're testing different vitamins and things that you're lacking? And the reason why I ask is because when I was back in the US and I didn't want to get this test, I was like, I'm fine, whatever. So I just decided to get it. And it came to find out that I wasn't supposed to be eating eggs. Like there's something in my blood that says that, which is crazy. And I was like, eggs? Okay. I mean, I was never really a big egg eater, but now it's just like, okay, I'm not supposed to be eating eggs. There's other things that I have to, kind of watch out for. But when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty healthy. I feel good. But there's still some things going on behind inside the engine, if you want to call it that.
Yes, absolutely.
And do you see these issues?
All the time. In the clinic that I work with and my private practice with other doctors, there's all the blood tests you want, from lack of vitamin D to having more vitamin B12 put in you. And digestion teams can be tested from different ways, from actually the actual heliobacter in your breath. You breathe into this thing 4 or 5 times a day just to see the bacteria which is in your stomach. That will tell us how we have to look at your digestive system. You can also have a dysbiosis test, which is with your feces, and 3 or 4 samples are sent off. That takes about 3 weeks for the results to come back. And that also analyzes the bacteria. And the doctors are very, very competent with this. They see all this, looks like mumble jumble of numbers. They can also say and tell you what food is not recommended. And you can then just literally have allergen tests or intolerance tests. I'm always a bit careful about intolerances and allergies because for me, it's something that is temporary. Okay. And when we say don't eat eggs, I always like to say for 3 months. Okay. Or don't have fish. I do bioresonance, which means everything in our environment has electronic frequency. That's my medicine. It's electronic medicine. So I have sushi and I love sushi, and I do my bioresonance test 2 weeks later, it's going to say, Philippa, stay off the salmon, man. Okay. It doesn't mean that I'm allergic to it, just my body hasn't had time to digest all this lovely salmon or tuna, whatever you want to have. And so this is also being something that I'm aware of. And also I have to say, epigenetically or cellular wise, I don't like to put the words in people's psyche or heart that something is forever. We really are an amazing human being, and we really can help our body heal if we know how to do it, rather than just sticking on the program that this is going to be forever. Okay. So this is why I think it's very important. This is the integrative side of my belief in health.
Now, I believe in that too. That's exactly how I approach the work that I do with my clients, and just basically looking at it as a holistic whole, more of a holistic approach. Everyone's using that word, but not everyone is doing it the right way. They just use holistic because it sounds fancy, but there's more to holistic than just the name, as you know. And it's strange because me as I'm not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't eat a lot of meat. So obviously a person like me is going to have a little bit less B12 in my body. And being an athlete, I exercise a lot, I move a lot. So I'm depleting my body from these minerals, not just B12, but sodium, potassium, all types of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And I was never a big fan of supplementation. I
Mm.
always want to be natural, but the reality is it's impossible to get everything you need from
Yeah.
food. And
Yeah.
especially if you exercise and you move a lot, because you're just shooting it out, shooting it out.
I think we totally agree with you there, Albert. There are amazing supplements now, really done from natural ingredients that we are. We try to be more high performance machines in our health. I mean, it's become from literally from not caring 10 years ago to really being more aware of our health and our bodies today. There's a great industry out there on supplement stuff. But I tend to go for natural, obviously, ecological if possible. And yes, of course, your body needs that help. It's like being a high performance Ferrari. They're not going to put my 98 petrol in that I use for my little banger. It's just we've got to put the good quality oil in the car. And the
Mhm.
body's the same thing. We have to look after it on that performance levels. Okay, we tend to just go along little by little by little by little. I eat everything also, very much like you. Very little meat. Um, the World Health Organization brought out a global diet. I don't know if you've seen about it. A lot of research went into that. Be interesting to talk about that one day. And it said basically eat meat, I think it was once every 3 weeks. This is
Yeah.
for a global distribution, globally, how the world could cope better, not with this excess farming or this type of thing. I don't
Mhm.
like all this heavy farming. I don't think it's fair on the animals. That we just expect the same chunk of meat every day on our plate. There's a lot of people expecting that. Okay,
Yeah.
so plus, apart from just the moral side of it, it's the more alkaline your diet is, which is less meat, better for your digestive system. Okay, and every
100%.
so often, as you say, a bit of meat if you need it, and if not, you can get a lot of food proteins out of other stuff which is not meat. It's just a question of understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know meat is, I've seen studies that meat was like the leading cause, well, excess meat consumption was one of the leading causes of coronary heart disease, if I'm not mistaken,
Yep.
which is crazy. And I did a little bit of study on it. And I guess basically meat sits in your intestines for a couple weeks,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
after you
Yeah.
think you've
It's
put it
gone.
out.
It's like
And-
having, if you want to put it really hard, but yeah, a decomposing thing inside you for ages. So that creates
yeah.
a lot of bacteria, So if we can get it a different way, it is better
Yeah.
for us.
And you have people who eat meat for breakfast, lunch,
Yeah.
and dinner every single day, and you wonder
Yeah.
why, their bodies are not performing the way that they maybe would want them to do,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
which is
absolutely.
which is sad. So yeah.
It
So
is.
outside of that, as far as your private practice, what exactly do you guys do? Give me a little more on that.
That's a $1 million question because people come and they just people come to see me because I'm recommended. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah.
They just look at you and I say, well, what is it you're looking for, really? And that's a very hard question for people to answer. Because I always say I'm also a qualified psychologist. I've got a master in psychology. So the first thing is to really the person who comes to see me recognizes really what is their problem. I don't
Mhm.
mean problem, issue at the time. It can be most at the moment obviously stress related and anxiety, but it could be digestive issues or literally a relationship issue, which is the root of a problem, which is giving them that digestive problems. Okay, or not sleeping or insomnia. So or a couple problems. So we try and get them together as a couple. If that really is the root of the problem, then I tend to always use acupuncture as a relaxing technique. And then after a few more sessions, when they get a bit more open to I suppose, my integrative approach, then we will do different types of things. Creativity is very important also in my approach. My method is based on heart, hands, and head. So I try to make sure that we use a third of everything in us in the right proportion. we use our mind, we use our heart, and if possible, if it's really difficult to get through to people, I make them use their hands, okay?
Yeah.
When they're totally all over the place. So that's why it is $1 million question. I think, believe, and feel that a human being is a complex, amazing machine. The shell is absolutely a miracle every day we wake up without doing anything. You know, eyelashes grow on eyelash place and not on our toes. You know, and how this happens with us interfering is what we should remember and respect. And then every so often, something's not in the right place. Let's help the body just have that space to get better. And this is why, for example, the clinic where I work in Althea is people come to say, I said, it took me years. I mean, when you're younger, you're more arrogant and, you know, how can they do this? It's wellness thing. And as you get older, you do need to delegate that responsibility to outside people every so often. Yeah. To let your body be just a body, let your brain just switch off, let your heart relax, you know, because we're on this treadmill of constant stress in an environment that is demanding and demanding and demanding. And, you know, we feel guilty just doing nothing today. You know, we're brought up not to be non-productive.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I think about that a lot too. And I mean, it's the society we live in. Even you know, from growing up as a kid, you know, we're like,
parents, of course, yeah. What are you doing? I'm reading a book. I'm reading a book.
Yeah. Oh, God. I'm just relaxing right now. What? You're relaxing? You need to get out and do something. I'm like, what?
My mummy brushed the terrace. I just sat down 2 minutes ago. Like the leaves are falling off the trees. Oh, for goodness sake. Non-stop. So
and that's a problem for a lot of people too. Just sitting and doing nothing. That's why I feel like meditation is hard for a lot of people because they're in this position where they have to try not to do anything, you know, and try to think or try not to think. You know, everybody has a different approach as far as type of meditations as they do, and it's tough for some people. I remember when I first started to try meditation, I was always like, hey, I'm thinking about stuff, so that means I'm not meditating. But then later on, once I understood meditation, it's like, oh yeah, you are going to think, like, because if you stop thinking, you basically are dead, you know. So
it's a good point you mentioned meditation, because it's something also I internally had a lot of conflict with because of my upbringing of constant productivity. So because I know this happens to most of us, and 99% of us, we don't live on a hill with a guru. My approach is, therefore, that's why I say people use your hands. Okay. So use your hands, and that is the first step to just being Zen or Tao to what you're doing at that moment. It's that first step of mindfulness, all these fancy words that come in our culture now. But if we just remember to use our hands again, rather than just on the computer or on our mobiles, be a bit more creative, then we really are that one step towards that Zen, that Tao of peace, okay? Then we get further on. Once you realize your body can actually go, wow, I've been 2 hours drawing silly cats with 15 tails and 3 eyes and dots, and I feel great, because everything's just become, in that 2 hours, a bit of coherence. And it's that coherence we need to try and find. It doesn't matter what you want to call it by. Then when you start feeling it is possible to stop, it is possible to feel this 2 hour peacefulness and satisfied with yourself because you've done something physically with your hands. It could be a garden, doesn't matter, okay? And then you can start saying, I'm going to try this thing called meditation. Meditation is something that at the beginning, all your energy goes out, as you say, with all these thousands of thoughts. My shopping list, my mum, I didn't ring, or gosh, the arguing I had with my daughter, whatever goes on. And then you just got to go try, literally stop going out and very slowly coming back in and just think, okay, forget about my shopping list. Let me just listen to my heartbeat, if that's something if you can do, or listen to what's actually going on in my head and start bringing in this energy inside. And then when we really get to the energy inside, an exercise easy is just to I have like this internal white circle that goes through me. I try and then just think of that. And before I know it, again, I'm lost in a different space. But it does take time. And it is something that a lovely, it's an English chap, I can't remember his name, is the meditation starts with just sitting on a chair with your feet on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
And understanding,
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Then just understanding my feet are on the ground. Just that very simple question.
Yeah. And don't they call that grounding or something like that? It's like a name. I think that's the name, some fancy name or whatever. Yeah, I've tried different type of meditations, and I actually discovered meditation from his name is Russell Simmons. I don't know if you know Russell Simmons. He's a real old school producer, rapper, way back in the days.
Yeah.
And I stumbled upon a video of him. Actually, it was an interview, and he was speaking about meditation. He was speaking about him being a vegan, and all these things. And it like woke me up. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try that. I'm doing some things that are not right, and it's not just not right for my body, but not right for society, not right for the world. So that's like kind of when my whole, if you want to call it, personal development journey began, just from a video of someone speaking about meditation and veganism. And then now, 15 years later, I'm glad I found that video. Just a simple video, but it changed the way I think about life, and it also changed what I want to do for others, and as far as my profession, and use some of those things that I've learned and some of those experiences that I've had through sports and around Europe and US to help others with the issues that they have too. So
it's lovely. Yeah, lovely. I think it's lovely when you have that moment of we call it fancy words, resonate with it. It's just something goes into your stomach, really. So I like saying, really start listening to your body, start listening to what goes on. And there was a great book which is called Substituting Prozac or something at the time, and Prozac was all fashionable, which is like fashionable drugs. And it was literally just listening to what's going on into your body. When that feeling, the tummy goes, I like that. Oh gosh, I don't like that. Or I don't like this person. Or not too happy with that. Then that's something we should really start looking into, and really keeping those values to us, to the collective benefit. Absolutely, yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. And I remember I tried, what do you call it? Acupuncture, because you do a lot of that. And I think the first time I tried it, I was a little bit receptive. I don't know if you had that issue probably with some of your clients, but it's like, no, I'm not going to like relax my body. I'm not going to release, you almost have to release your ego. I keep saying that, but release yourself so that you can welcome this thing into your body. Okay. And the crazy thing is they put the needles in me, but then after they put these little electric rods or electric things or whatever on the end of it.
Yeah.
And they were just like shaking. and the doctor, he was like, make sure that you don't move, because I guess when you move, it gives you a different shock or something like that. And I was trying so hard not to cough or sneeze. I was sitting.
So my first experience. That's terrible. Electroacupuncture for your first experience is not funny.
So once you sneeze, that thing starts shaking, and your body's just like, oh my gosh. So I learned to relax a little bit after that. It's really powerful, the Chinese medicine, and just this alternative medicine, holistic, and really finding and trying to stay away from medicines, trying to stay away from all these artificial things that we don't need,
Okay, it's two things that are quite important. Your memory was interesting on acupuncture, and 90% of our memory, 90% is done basically that foundation of our beliefs and values and weird things that happen between 6 and 9 year olds. Okay, so when we're infant, everything's just sponging, and then between 6 and 9, we really have that huge learning curve of things. Okay, so obviously experience of between 6 and 9 are injections, horrible doctors, these big needles going in you for whatever jab you have to have. It's not very nice. Okay, so most people who come for the first time acupuncture, of course, have this absolutely, my God, you're going to put a nail in me. Okay, so let's try and rechange a little bit So when people come to see me for the first acupuncture, I just listen, there's one needle first, see if it's okay for you, and then we can continue. I would never put electronic acupuncture or needles all over somebody for the first time. For things I want people to enjoy the experience,
Yeah.
to actually feel the change in them nicely and not go with the tail in between their legs and never coming back. Okay, I'm sorry, Albert, for that first electrocution session. Okay, so this is how I approach it. Yeah, and I have a very yin technique, which is very gentle. Okay, there are different techniques which I have to create a little bit of pain to start a stimulation, or there is an issue, then I will tell the person. But it's got to be gentle. The body responds to gentle change. We don't have to go with the hammer anymore. Okay, so that's the one. So that's experience, which is hopefully.
I think the doctor thought I was a big guy. He's like, oh, he's a big guy, so he can handle it.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay,
no. And people, the funny thing is, guys with tattoos or the piercing, they're the worst. I said, for God's sake, man, you're full of these tattoos. You look in the size, you know. So I always start with one needle and then see how the body reacts to it. I get them to breathe with the needle, and then normally it's quite successful. And they come back, they love it. They love it.
Yeah.
So then take a step further to where medicine is. As I said, we live in a mechanistic Newtonian way of seeing medicine, which is cause and effect, and our body is a machine. I can take my heart out, put it back in, my arm comes off, I can put it back on, we're very lucky. Okay, we're in 2020 and this is possible. People are being healed with the COVID. It's possible. Okay, but we mustn't forget the other side of the body, which is the electronic circuit, which is how all these mechanical stuff communicate with each other. And that's why I always put the paradigm of a car, because it's something we're very comfortable with. Our car has an engine, but if electronics doesn't work, I'm sorry, the engine is not going to start. However fantastic, shiny, clean, everything is, it's not going to work. Okay, and the body's the same thing. So I'm your electrician. My colleagues, medics, would be the mechanics. So when you come for acupuncture, I like to say we put a needle in a dot or an acupuncture point. And it's like a screwdriver, helping to bring up or down the homeostasis of your body. And my master used to say, Philippa, we don't make a Superman unless they are Superman when they come in. And it's true. We don't make a Superman or a Superwoman unless you are when you come in. Okay, so this is very clear, and we try to explain to someone's responsibility for their own health and who they are.
And that's definitely important, and it's I think now with what's going on in the world, people are going to start to pay a little bit more attention to that. At least I hope so.
I hope so too. Yeah. I hope so.
I still think we have a couple more months, probably towards the end of the summer before things are kind of in the blue or whatever. But we will see how it goes. So anyway, I want to thank you for this wonderful conversation.
Albert, my pleasure.
And it's a pleasure to connect with you. And we will definitely stay in contact with through everything.
Absolutely. We'll see if we can get you over to Spain.
Yes, definitely. Definitely when everything opens up, we still have to. We're gonna talk offline when I finish with this, and then we'll talk a little business.
Okay.